Welcome back, everyone. It's Reverend Sarah again, and I'm having a conversation now with Melissa Bush and Janet Cantley, who both work with our pastoral care associates. And they're going to give us a little bit of an idea of what it is to do pastoral care at Valley UU and why that's an important piece of what we do as a community. So, Janet, I'm going to start with you because you're one of the co-chairs for this team. Actually, you're both co-chairs. You're my two
Yeah, we
co-chairs.
are.
So you can talk about what it was like to not have a co-chair and to now have a co-chair and what it is that this team does.
Well, I'm very grateful to have a co-chair, I must say. Thank you, Melissa. And so the Lay Pastoral Care Associates, it's a program to work with the minister as an extension of the minister, doing confidential and being a caring presence to support members of the congregation. And we work with several other committees under the umbrella of the caring ministries. And that's something I think that has been a very exciting development in the last year or two, is how we work together with caring neighbors who provide more of the physical attending to needs of the congregation, like perhaps providing transportation or providing a meal, or just giving, sending support through a card or a home visit. And then we also work with Voices Lifted. So they provide music to individuals that are maybe homebound or in hospice. And there's a group that sings in those settings. What have I left out, Melissa?
That was a good overview. So I have been a member of Lay Pastoral Care Associates for several years now. One of our previous ministers thought it was important and started it. And so I've been here for a while doing it. And as a hospice nurse practitioner, I feel like it's it uses my skill sets. And so I really appreciate the opportunity to be a presence, as Janet said, a non-anxious listening presence to people, and in their difficult times of grief, and to be able to give that to other people, to me, is really fulfilling. And along those lines, Dan Schulte and I, who's another lay pastoral care associate, he's actually a psychologist, so he has more street cred than I do. And he and I have started a grief support group at VUU in the last couple weeks. And this is our inaugural run, and we are going to do 8 weeks of a group, and it's a fixed number of people, and it's not a drop-in group. And so we wanted to make it an 8-week group that people would do their best to attend every week for 8 weeks. And it's a place for people to talk about their own experience of grief. And I know from working in hospice as long as I have that our culture doesn't do death very well at all, and we don't do grief very well at all. And yet, what is universal? It's universal about humans that we all have times of grief. We all go through situations that cause us grief. And oftentimes feel very alone and very at sea and unmoored and all of those nautical things that my husband would love, because he's a sailor. And so, I feel like it's kind of an obligation, now that I've really embraced the fact that we are totally inadequate in the grief and death education, but also support of people, that's really an important part of what I want to do as a lay pastoral care associate. And so I'm hopeful that this will just be the grief group will just be one iteration of an ongoing group. And I also thought about doing a service about grief and having more conversations about grief just in the general congregation, because I understand how important it is, and I don't want people to feel alone.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like culturally we struggle to talk about our emotions and to be vulnerable with each other. And so there's lots of different ways that I could see pastoral care being a really important aspect of being in this congregation. Just having a place where you can be vulnerable and people who are willing to listen to what your struggles are, show up in places and times that you might need somebody to be there in a more specific way. I know as a minister, I've spent time with people in the hospital. I've talked to folks who are dealing with death and dying, either someone they love or someone or themselves, getting preparing for end of life. How do I want my life to end, and what are the ways in which I want to be cared for? How do I want my pain to be managed? How do I want my memorial service to look? Even just technical things like who gets to have, power of attorney, and, how am I just preparing for that so that my family doesn't have to worry about that when the time comes. Those are really important and hard conversations. And I know that's some of what this team and you specifically, Melissa, get engaged in, both through your work and through your volunteering with us. Um, what other kinds of ways do you think this team impacts or supports the congregation? Because it feels like to me that you're kind of a backbone for us. And I wasn't here during COVID, but it seems like this team probably had a really important role to play during that time in keeping people kind of connected. What's your sense about that?
I think it was really important, especially at the very beginning of COVID, when the pastoral care team, and you were a part of the team too, Melissa, at that time, we took the church, the VUU directory, and we divided it up basically by pages and number of associates on the team. There are 11 of us currently. There were fewer at that time. And we checked in with people. And it was partly because we knew that some of the members might be less inclined to do things online or not be aware that we were having regular services online. And there was also shows my age. There was I guess it was an app called Slack that people could check in the media or social media kind of thing. And I think that's still active. I don't know, but I remember getting on that and feeling like, okay, this is another way to reach out to the community. There were breakout groups after service that people could talk and chat and be in small groups. And it was actually a great way to meet members that you might not necessarily have a conversation with, because you were put into a breakout group and it was just kind of a mix of people. And it was really very interesting to be able to respond to people and listen to them and hear what's going on in their lives, particularly during that period of COVID.
Yeah, there was so much extra loneliness. So I think there's a loneliness epidemic in this country and kind of in the world. And I think that's something that we can address as lay pastoral care people in the congregation, and just making sure that people know that they're not alone. And I think there's great value in that, and the connection that we can make with people. And I know for myself, when I've connected with congregants who have reached out through the pastoral care email and they have had a concern or have come up to me at church or things like that, that they really appreciate it. It's a very much appreciated service, and they may not need me all the time, but oftentimes they'll come back to me and say, that was really helpful for me. And I really appreciate you being there for me. Things have gotten better for me. And it was nice to know that I wasn't alone and that you were there and I could contact you if I needed it. And that makes me feel good because I feel like I'm of service and I mean, that's really why I do this work and why I do hospice work, is because it gives me great personal satisfaction and purpose, and I like that.
Who supports the two of you and other members of your team when y'all are in need? How has that happened over time? I assume that occasionally y'all have needs too, and
Oh yeah.
And what's great is, since the beginning, when this team was formed under the previous minister, Andy Burnett, we had monthly meetings for the team to check in. And, that group, it's really been a great support group because we are there to talk to each other about a situation going on in our own lives or whatever it might be. And, we all have things that we struggle with daily. So it's so good to have that support.
Yes. So we support each other. I've gotten 2 letters in the last week or two, one from Janet and one from Nancy Woomer, just kind of checking in with me and making sure I was okay because I was sick for about a month. And it's really nice. I get these cards and I go, wow, somebody's thinking about me. And so I can do it for people and people do it for me. And it's kind of one of those mutually beneficial things. And yeah, so I think we do a good job on the team of supporting each other and knowing how this work, while fulfilling, it also, is hard work sometimes with, you know, because we're always everybody's going through stuff. And so yeah, I feel grateful that we have the people that we do that do this work, and then we all are pitching in to support each other. And when I had surgery, Voices Lifted came to sing for me, and that really helped in my healing. And I've had people come bring meals, and so I've taken advantage of all that as well in my hour of need. So it's very reciprocal.
Mhm.
it
Yeah,
sounds
actually, one of the programs that came out of pastoral care was how to ask for help because people are so reluctant. I mean, so many of us, I am one of them, will do anything I can not to have to ask for assistance. It's hard to admit, well, I can't handle this. I need help. And I think that program was very successful. So there have been workshops or talks. We had Hospice of the Valley speakers arranged through Melissa to come right before the holidays just recently, talking about dementia education and also grief, especially during the holidays.
Yeah. So yeah, I want people to know that we have a lot of resources. So not only as individuals, we are a resource for each other, and we know a lot of people. And we have connections to a lot of things. And so when we have our monthly, we still meet monthly as lay pastoral care associates. And when we have those meetings, we put our heads together about, well, so-and-so needs this, and does anybody have a recommendation on some way to meet that need? And so we have a lot of resources that we can bring to bear, and so I hope people will, like Janet said, not be shy about it, or not feel like they don't deserve it, or I mean, not only are the culture is not good about so many things, but then the culture sort of makes one feel like I have to do this all myself. And if I'm not a strong person and I'm not doing it myself, there's something wrong with me. And boy, is that a burden on people.
A huge burden, and it's, to me, it's exactly the reason why I think it matters to belong to a congregation in 2024. And I know that it's almost becoming like countercultural to be in a faith community, especially a progressive one where we have a pluralistic, theological frame that doesn't fit in neat boxes. But for me, it's exactly what you guys just described. It's having access to a community that cares about me, that creates structures to hold me in times that are difficult, that's willing to help me network with resources and, show up even just with a card or a phone call. Um, all the different ways that our caring ministries make a difference for folks. To me, those are the like number one reasons to be part of a church or congregational or faith community. And the fact that we don't come with a like you have to believe this kind of structure, to me, is just added bonus. But yeah, I think it's all of those pieces. I think you guys do a really uniquely great job at pastoral care. um I talk to ministers all the time, and I've been in several different congregational contexts myself, including congregations I belonged to before I was a minister. And the fact that every Sunday you remind folks that you're there, that you have somebody available in person on Sunday for folks to have a chat with and online, and that those two people are on sort of duty for phone calls or outreach for a whole week, I think creates some real continuity for folks to develop relationship and trust to be able to ask for help when they need it. Even the little rituals we do during Sunday service where folks can, light a candle or put water in our fountain or write something in a book to us about what they're going through so that we can hold them in our prayers or reach out to them. All of those pieces are just really fundamental to a great program. And I really appreciate the thought that went into how you guys have structured your program. And um, even the books you read, right? I mean, like, you have all these just little pieces that add to your own resiliency and capacity to offer this care, but that also create a sort of spectrum for folks who are, you know maybe this is a new concept to have a pastoral care team, but for folks for whom it's new, you have a lot of ways in. So I really appreciate that about y'all.
Well, and I think it's been very successful to have those readings that you just mentioned and ongoing training, because, initially we get some training. There's a workbook that we go through that is specifically written for lay pastoral care in a UU congregation. And so we've modeled our training after that. But then these monthly meetings, and we even have the fifth Monday meeting now to have time to discuss shared readings. And the readings have been great to help us, I think, in our work.
Well, I just want to say how much I appreciate as a minister. Sometimes pastoral care can feel like the most overwhelming piece because I'm just one person and there's 300 plus members in our congregation. There's no way I could ever reach all of those people, and no way that all of those people would feel comfortable with me. I mean, some folks are going to feel more comfortable with a particular member of your team based on age or gender or some other connection they might have. So having a whole team makes a really big difference. And oh, I'm really glad to be on a team with you two. So, and the rest of our team.
Me
Well,
too.
thank you.
Well, thanks for this chat. I hope that other folks who are interested in learning more about this, either as a member of the team, if they're interested in that, they can reach out to you by email or find one
Sure.
of you online or in person on a Sunday.
Mhm.
And also, if somebody's wanting a little chat or a shoulder to lean on, Now they know how to find that. So
Yeah, a little TLC. We all need a little TLC.
that's right. Well, you two enjoy the rest of your days, and thanks for joining me. Talk to
Thank
you soon.
you.
Thanks. Take care. See you.
Bye, friends.
Bye.
Hi, this is Reverend Sarah Oglesby-Dunegan, the Senior Settled Minister at Valley Unitarian Universalist Congregation. We're inviting you to sustain our community through new financial contributions, continued financial support, and increasing your financial support if you're able to do so. We need about $90,000 more in pledge income from last year's budget to support our continued work in this congregation. Maybe you've never pledged before. You can make a monthly, quarterly, biannual, or annual contribution through your own bank account or through our website. This is a lot how we support other member organizations in our community, but in this case, we have about 300 members and another 150 or so friends who participate in our community. And we currently have less than 200 pledging units, families or households that make a pledge. What does this mean to you and your community? How much do you value the work this congregation does in the larger Phoenix metro area? With your contributions, we can make sure that Valley UU is still here for future generations that need a faith community that offers all the things that Valley offers. Excellent youth faith formation that prepares kids to live in a pluralistic community with respect for a wide range of beliefs and practices, grounded by a moral compass built from compassion, inquiry, accountability, and integrity. We also have adult faith formation that has a commitment to social justice and service alongside spiritual and intellectual development. We participate in interfaith community organizing, and we have worship that is engaging, renewing, and inspiring. We have a lot of mutual aid and care that holds us through all of life's challenges and celebrations. Valley UU is a healthy, interdependent community that values your contributions. Thanks for adding your special ingredients that nourish and sustain this community. May we find there is abundance where abundance is needed.